So would you have any case in mind, or that you would have a really difficult situation in collecting or like preserving the crime scene for the bones that you probably were working with?
Yeah, so depending on environmental parameters, some bones are preserved better than others. So you can get bones that have been badly damaged just by, water leaching or very acidic soils. The bones of children and infants are very delicate, and when you're born, you actually have about 300 bones, so way more than you end up with as an adult, because many of those bones fuse together. So for infants, for instance, you don't have a solid skull, you just have all the individual plates of the skull. So that can be really challenging in terms of excavation, and again, the environmental factors that might impact that bone. Cremated human remains are super challenging for a whole range of different reasons. So yeah, there are definitely lots of challenging environments. Sometimes just the environment itself is difficult, if you're on a slope, or if you're potentially in contaminated soil because it's a hazardous material site. There's recently been some interesting work on landfills, because sometimes bodies end up in dumpsters or skips, and they end up in the landfill, and then a landfill has to be excavated to try to recover the human remains. That's a horrible environment. I hope I never get called out to one of those. But the interesting thing about landfills is that it is really well documented when shipments come in and are deposited, where they're deposited in the landfill. The landfill has a form of stratigraphy of layering. So you can kind of date when those human remains were deposited, not just by the records of the landfill, but also by the things that are around that body, mail that has dates on it, or food packages that have a best by date for it, and stuff like that.
Oh, that's interesting.